and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence.
And this is Mark Florence.
And today we're talking about what a strange couple of weeks it's been. We're also going to talk about some movies. We're going to talk about a couple movies that we watched this week. And because it's in the news and because it is the thing that I sought out, we watched Contagion and World War Z. And so I know that for some people, you want to go the opposite direction of that and not even think about viruses. Me, on the other hand, I just felt like, okay, this is going to be comforting to me in some way. And it was, oddly enough. And I've seen other people, like on Twitter, replicate that feeling. You know, they too seek comfort in horror. I don't know what it is. I know other people are like, nope, I need to avoid it at all costs. And I respect that. So if you don't want to talk about what's happening in the world right now, I get it. Don't listen to this episode. It's been a strange couple of weeks. I'm sure it'll continue to get strange, but we hope you are all well. We hope that you are staying in and social distancing yourselves, and that you have plenty of things to watch and things to read. But we will get through this together. So, Mark, what are your thoughts on the current state of the world?
Yeah, everything's just changing, like day to day, hour to hour. They just said they're closing all the restaurants in Minnesota. I know they closed all the restaurants in California. Now they're ordering like a something shelter in place in Northern California. So it's just crazy. And every day they just canceled school for Campbell and Vienna for the next couple weeks, so it's pretty crazy. Just trying to comprehend everything.
So, a lot of movies are going to get postponed, but we saw today in the news that they will be releasing some of the movies that were supposed to come out to the theater this Friday. You can watch them at home on video on demand, and Invisible Man is one of them, which is great. If you didn't get a chance to see that in the theater, you can rent it starting this Friday. The Hunt, which came out last weekend that we didn't get to see, we'll be able to rent that. A couple other non-horror movies they mentioned. So, that might become our new normal. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't anticipate the movie theaters being open for at least a month or two. So, yeah, they got to do something or delay them. So, every public, they said max of 10 people, so...
Yeah, and also the news today, I mean, this will probably change by the time this even airs, but max gathering of 10 people, and maybe July or August is when things might return. So what a strange time. Let's talk about these movies. So the first movie that we watched was Contagion. It came out in 2011, and it's 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. The screenplay was by Scott Z. Burns, directed by Steven Soderbergh. It had a budget of $60 million and made $135.5 million at the box office. Mark, I know we saw this movie when it came out, but I had pretty much zero recollection of anything that actually happened in it.
Yeah, I didn't remember that we had actually seen it until the very end when they showed how the virus started, and then I remembered it. So, but it was pretty crazy how spot on it was to what's going on right now.
Yeah, so they really made a point. The very first scene, it's still in pitch black. We hear Gwyneth Paltrow coughing, and then we see her. She looks a little sick, and she's, just claims to just have jet lag. But we keep following through these close-ups of everything that she's touched, and then who else is touching the items, or if they're touching each other. And this, virus is much worse in the movie than compared to what's happening now. But it passes from person to person. She goes back to Minnesota. And so that was interesting. I did not remember that it was based in Minneapolis for much of it. Then, of course, the CDC in Atlanta and all these other places around the globe. I loved Kate Winslet's character. I thought she was really calm and had her stuff together. Marion Cotillard as the epidemiologist. She was a great character. Everybody was lovely, and I just love how it was like this. It's like a mystery and a thriller and a horror movie all in one. And I also feel like it's part documentary because holy crap, this is very similar to things happening right now.
Yeah, it was interesting how they followed different people's like role, like how they were involved. There was the Jude Law character who was like a blogger guy who was trying to capitalize on it by saying this drug cured him. Lawrence Fishburne was like the head of the CDC something or other. Another guy was like a scientist who was trying to look for the cure. So yeah, it was interesting how they brought it in from different angles.
I appreciated that, and they weaved everyone together in the story together. If you want to seek out a movie that has this basis in science that is very similar, will show you what's happening now. Hopefully we won't get to that point where it's, everyone's looting and it was, mass chaos. I don't think we will, but, it might be scary for some people to watch. So, don't watch it if you think you'll be triggered by it. But I enjoyed it for some reason. I don't know why, but it brought me comfort. It made me feel like, okay, people have thought about this. And so the experts who they even, were consultants on the movie, they know exactly what they're talking about. And we have to trust that the experts will guide us in the right direction as long as the people in charge listen to them, right?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people, like, they think we're overreacting and stuff, but you want to overreact, I guess, and you want to do it earlier rather than later. So hopefully, especially, or in Minnesota or all over the country or all over the world, they're take it seriously, try to get out ahead of it. And I even know this past weekend, they canceled colleges, but like all the bars and stuff were open, so people were still going there. And I was, kind of one of them. So
Idiot. Speaking of people in charge and listening to authorities, I watched Outbreak. I just watched that one on my own because I saw that it was on Netflix, and it was not great. It was older. I can't remember the year offhand now. I should probably look it up. But Dustin Hoffman's in it, Rene Russo, Kevin Spacey. It just wasn't as good. It's more about the conspiracy about the government trying to hide that they had weaponized a disease to use in Africa, and then they had the cure for it but didn't want to let people know, and then it got out of hand and mutated in the United States, and they were going to bomb this entire city in California in order to hide up this government conspiracy. And I don't know. I don't think it held up that well.
I did not watch this film with Kelly. I was actually watching a replay of the 2019 Masters on my phone.
See, this is going to be the new normal because there's not going to be any new sports for a while. You're going to end up watching all these classics and reruns of sports, or maybe you'll have to have a conversation with me once in a while.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching a lot of sports. No, yeah, we'll have to watch a lot of Netflix and Hulu and
Shudder and Amazon Prime,
yeah,
and all the streaming services.
Exactly, and maybe rewatch some old classics.
Exactly. So the other movie we watched this past weekend was World War Z from 2013. It's 66% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was directed by Mark Forster, based on the World War Z book by Max Brooks. It had a budget of a pretty big range. It's guessing $190 to $269 million. It made $540 million at the box office. Of course, it's starring Brad Pitt and fast-moving zombies, which, Mark, they are so effing terrifying.
Yeah, I only caught about half of this one. I think you were watching with Campbell, but yeah, the zombies. That's what my first thing was like. Man, they're fast. Like they're running. They seem like they're more like aware, maybe. Like there's more life in them than like your regular slow zombie, and they always like click their teeth together, like bite their teeth. So it's pretty scary.
Oh, it's so disgusting. I like how it starts because it's just the family in the morning, and they're in the car going to drop the kids off at school or whatever, and it's downtown Philadelphia, and all of a sudden they see people rushing by and then start running by, and it's because this zombie outbreak has begun, and they hardly take any time to set up the story. It just begins, and every city you see is collapsing. Brad Pitt's recruited because he, used to be military or something, and they are able to keep his family safe if he agrees to go and try to find this cure. It brings him to Jerusalem, which is one of your favorite scenes, Mark.
Oh yeah, the scene where they're on top, or they're behind this wall, and then the zombies like climb up on top of each other. It's, I don't know, it's like a 40, 50 foot wall. But they like almost make like a ladder, and then all the zombies crawl over them and get over the wall. It's pretty sweet. It's
such a good sequence. And then it's also something, the weird part is that you see this kid crouching and all the zombies are running past him. And it's a clue as to what's, going to come, how they're going to solve it. The other sequence immediately after this is they get on that plane, like the last plane, and people are turning in the back of the plane, and they make a luggage wall, and they're trying to be super quiet, but, stuff goes bad, and they end up crash landing. It's so exciting. And then this entire sequence in the CDC is really exciting, too, where they have to try to get to the serum, because they figure out that the zombies are avoiding people who are sick. And so they need to infect themselves in order to make themselves, they call it camouflaging, where they basically appear to be invisible, or the zombies can't even detect them. And there's this really nice sequence with Brad Pitt just sort of waiting and waiting to let the zombie into this glass room, and you don't know yet if Brad Pitt's going to die from this disease, or if their idea is going to work, and of course it does end up working. So it's amazing, and he gets reunited with his wife and daughters, and they have now this adopted son, because they saved a boy in the very first apartment building when they were hiding out to get their helicopter ride. So it was very sweet.
Yeah, I only saw the scene at the end when they're breaking into the hospital to get the medication. And that's when Brad Pitt pretty much figures out that if you're sick, they won't bother you, and then he has to inject himself. Like, while there's one like staring at him through this door. So that's my second favorite scene. It's great. It's a great scene.
That movie too. It's so good. I think we watched it when it came out. I may have rewatched it once since then. Thanks, Sienna. But I definitely haven't seen it very often. I mean, I've seen it, maybe this is my third time, even if that. And it's so good. It's so solid. I think it's better than 66%, what the critics said.
I agree for that. I saw a little bit of the beginning and a little bit of the end. I thought it was really good. So give it a good 80-90%.
Well, we'll rank both of these movies here in a bit, and give you some more recommendations. Now, as I mentioned, there's going to be, I think, some, things dropping sooner, or, just in a different way, since we can't go out to the theaters anymore, and we'll keep up with the world of horror and rewatch some old classics, or maybe discover some old movies that we've never seen before. If you're looking for comedy, if you're looking for an escape, I probably have talked about it on the podcast before, but my two favorite stand-up comedians right now are John Mulaney and Bo Burnham. They're different in their approach and their presentations, but they are both laugh out loud funny to me. John Mulaney has 3 specials on Netflix. Bo Burnham has 2. I also recommend Bo Burnham's movie 8th Grade. It's on Prime, and I'm sure there's lots of other great comedians out there. And so recommend comedians to us, because we need to balance some of this horror with some laughter as well. So we're always looking for recommendations. Anything that you've watched lately that you recommend?
Gaffigan stuff. Maybe there's some of his old stuff you haven't seen that's pretty funny, like the Hot Pocket stuff. Anything Gaffigan's funny. Curb Your Enthusiasm is really solid this season. We watched McMillions a little bit. It wasn't too captivating.
Westworld has started. We didn't catch this week's episode, but we're going to get caught up. And so that's something that'll be a bit of an escape. And then also, we finished The Outsider, which was great. And my other favorite TV show currently that we just devoured was Hunters on Amazon. I really recommend it. It's set in the 70s, and the vision and the pace of that show really blew me away.
I also watched Narcos Mexico, the new season. I think probably mentioned that before. It's fairly good. It's not as good as some of the other Narcos, but it's still good.
Well, let's rank the two movies, the two main movies, on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being you hated it, 10 being it's a perfect movie. For Contagion, do we use like the piece of banana that started the whole thing that the bat ate?
Sure.
And then for World War Z, I think we have to use chattering teeth. Oh, yeah. So out of a piece of banana and chattering teeth, how many do you give Contagion and how many do you give World War Z?
I'll give Contagion 9 little pieces of banana that fell out of a bat's mouth that a pig ate, yeah. That a pig ate. And then, anyway. I thought it was just so similar to what's going on right now. It's kind of eerily similar. So that was kind of scary, but real solid. Kind of looks at it from different angles. Why was Matt Damon immune to it?
Just some people have natural immunity, kind of like Typhoid Mary. She gave a bunch of people typhoid fever, and she never got sick from it herself. So that's why we have to hunker down, because we could be carriers of coronavirus and not even realize it. While I'm talking, I'm going to give Contagion a 10 out of 10. It totally blew me away. I thought it was so good. It's so well paced. I love how there's so many sequences where you can see that they're talking and there's dialogue and they're trying to figure everything out, but we don't hear it. It's just like the Steven Soderbergh soundtrack over it. You know, you can just tell it's like typical him, and I really appreciated it. It drew me in. It moved the plot forward, but we didn't have to hear a bunch of technical language. And then World War Z.
I didn't see the whole thing, but I mean, I'll give it an 8. Chattering teeth. From what I remember, it was really good, and the end scene in the hospital, pretty powerful when he injects himself, and he's like, "How long do I?" He writes on a piece of paper like, "Tell my family I love them." Oh. That was pretty powerful. And then it was a sweet scene when he realized he was camouflaged to them, and there was like, I don't know, hundreds of them running. What do you like? Opened up a pop machine or something, so they're all running towards it and like right past him, like he didn't even exist. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, so awesome. You know, I'm giving this one a 9.5 chattering teeth. I think it's so well done. It was better than I remembered. It's got some really epic sequences in it, and those fast zombies, man, they're scary AF. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my slow zombies, but these fast ones, wow. Like, if you're not in shape, like, you're done for.
Agreed. Yeah, a lot scarier than the slow ones. But I also like how they like tied magazines around their arms to prevent getting bit. So it's a good idea.
Yes, I love that too. Well, we hope, Horror Rewind listeners, that you are well, that you are safe, that you are comfortable, that you have everything you need. We will continue the podcast as long as we keep watching movies and TV shows here. We have a few episodes in the bank that you'll hear, so don't be offended if we talk about a movie and seem to be sort of lighter in mood. But we did record many before all of this happened, so just be prepared for that. And yeah, stay safe and stay well. Until next time, we'll see you scrolling through the horror section.
Yep, bye.